So ARISE IIP Kenya is a fully owned subsidiary of ARISE IIP. ARISE IIP is an African industrial parks, integrated industrial parks developer in Africa. ARISE IIP originated from Gabon about 14 years ago. If you want to go back to history, our first name was actually Gabon Special Economic Zone, which was done for about 7-8 years. When the concept was mature and well developed, it was replicated across West Africa, Gabon, we went to Togo, we went to Benin. And at that time, around 2019, the concept of building a Pan-African entity came up, and therefore we moved from being a Gabon-centric organization to being an African-centric organization, and therefore that is where, first and foremost, we were known as ARISE Special Economic Zones, but the special economic tag was limiting our expansion. Then we changed the name from ARISE Special Economic Zones to ARISE Integrated Industrial Platforms, because ideally that's what we do. We build integrated industrial platforms. And when we say integrated, it simply means interconnected. And that means we don't focus on building the horizontal infrastructure, but we focus on building an ecosystem that an investor can come and plug into. For Kenya, it was a no-brainer. Kenya is a 50 million odd population. And therefore, even as a single country, they have the market. If we look at the dynamics in Kenya, the import bill is big. The export bill is a bit shaky because most of what we export as raw material. We export tea to be packed somewhere else using our label. We export coffee. We export avocado. And I believe the opportunities for transformation are immense in Kenya. Kenya being part of the wider COMESA region means that the access to the market is much wider in Kenya than in most of the countries in Africa. And therefore, given the state of the country in terms of industrialization, it was a much easier play. The rules and regulations are already in place. The authorities that are supposed to govern and manage what we do are already in place. And therefore, it was an easier concept coming into Kenya than most of the countries we've been to. And therefore, for us, when the right opportunity came, when what we do out there in West Africa had already matured and the concept is now being well taken, being recognized, then Kenya was a natural destination, being the gateway to East Africa, and I believe it is the gateway to Africa. I think when we came into Kenya in 2023, there were an odd 8 projects we were supposed to do, or which were floated by the regime for us to consider. But I think after a lot of deliberations and discussions and doing our own DD, we focused on just 4 projects. And this, of course, has to be in collaboration with our partner, Centum, who we agreed and engaged to do the Vipingo Special Economic Zone. So for us, Vipingo Special Economic Zone is the first project that we launched in Kenya, a full-scale project that we launched in Kenya. And that is our main focus now. We believe that this project should be delivered by the end of 2026 in its entirety. But through the collaboration between Afrexim Bank and the government of Kenya, we are also looking at doing Dongokundu Special Economic Zone, which we call Coast Integrated Industrial Platforms, which is a 500-acre piece of land close to the proposed new port at the coast of Kenya. That will be our next major project in terms of industrial park development. But then after that, we'll also do the Naivasha 2 Special Economic Zone, which we have called the Great Rift Integrated Park in Naivasha, a 2,000-acre facility close to ICD. But we are also working with the government to revitalize the CTA, which is the cotton, textile, and apparel sector in Kenya. And with that, we have worked with the government over the last 2.5 years to contribute seeds to farmers, donate seeds to farmers. But through the lease of Rivertex, we will enhance this activity so that the cotton farmers are able to find a ready offtake in terms of Rivertex, and by extension, the proposed 200 tons per day integrated textile plant that we intend to do at the Vipingo Special Economic Zone. So in terms of immediate plans, those are the 4 initiatives we are working on currently. But in terms of the overall intention and intent in Kenya, we will also speak to the government, and we are working with the government to do the livestock, meat and leather value chain, but also to venture into the edible oils value chain, because as a result of the CTA program, what you will have is seeds from cotton, which can be processed into animal feed and also to edible oil. So as part of the CTA ecosystem, we will also work closely with the government and with our authorities to be able to also work on the edible oils ecosystem in Kenya. But in terms of the macro, even if we just focus on the CTA, cotton, textile and apparel value chain, the country imports close to 2 billion worth of textile, which we believe if we develop our CTA ecosystem, then even in terms of FX issues, then that 2 billion is amount that we don't have to look for that. We will be able to generate that internally, and that is value addition in the country, creation of employments, stabilization of the FX regime in the country. But from a fiscal point of view, then the government also benefits from its tax policies and tax measures, in that they have a much wider pool of taxable income. I think these are some of the tangible, quick wins that some of the projects we are doing together with the government and together with our partners, Centum Group, are going to lead to very fast results from a macro level, from a micro level, and from a general way to make the country an industrial hub, if not for East Africa, then for Africa.